It was the first week of December, and the air was cold and crisp. The streets were already decorated with sparkling lights and red ribbons. The smell of baked goods floated from every bakery. She walked down the street, carrying a small bag of groceries, her scarf wrapped tightly around her neck. She liked this time of year, the way everything seemed brighter, even when the days were short and gray. But this year she felt a little empty. Work had been busy and tiring, and she had not seen her friends much. She had also been alone more than usual. At the thought of the holidays made her feel both excited and lonely. She stopped at the corner where a small coffee shop sat. Its windows fogged with warmth and the aroma of coffee and cinnamon inside. She went in and ordered a cup of hot chocolate. She liked sitting near the window, watching people hurry by with their coats buttoned up and scarves pulled tight. Sometimes she imagined their stories, who they were and where they were going. She smiled quietly to herself, thinking that everyone seemed to be in a rush except her. She had nowhere to go and no one waiting for her. She felt peaceful, but also a little sad. She chose a seat in the corner, her favorite spot where she could see the whole room. She took out her phone and scrolled through messages, mostly work emails, some from friends she had not talked to in weeks. As she sipped her hot chocolate, she noticed a man come in. He was carrying a small backpack and wore a thick coat. He looked familiar, but she could not place where she had seen him. He ordered his coffee and then looked around the room, finally spotting a table near the back. He hesitated and then came closer to her table. She looked up, surprised. He smiled politely and asked if he could sit down. She nodded, and he set his coffee on the table, looking around nervously. He seemed kind, with soft eyes and a gentle manner. They did not know each other well, but she had seen him a few times at this shop, always alone, always quietly reading a book or typing on his laptop. Today he seemed different, more tense, almost as if he needed to talk to someone. He introduced himself, and they exchanged small talk about the weather and the holiday decorations. She noticed he was polite and careful with his words, and there was a sadness in his voice she could not ignore. After a few minutes, he asked if she had a moment to hear something unusual. She nodded, curious. He took a deep breath and explained that he had 2 children and that the holidays were coming soon. He was a widower, and this time of year was especially hard for him and the children. He wanted to ask her for a favor, something strange, and he understood if she refused. She listened carefully as he spoke. He said that his family had invited them to a Christmas gathering, and he did not want to go alone. His relatives were kind, but they often asked about his personal life. He wanted her to pretend to be his wife for the evening. He explained that it would be a small gathering, just a few family members, and that the children would be happy to see him with someone who could fill the empty space in their home for a few hours. She blinked, unsure how to respond. The request seemed strange, even uncomfortable. Pretend to be his wife, she thought about how little she knew him, how different their lives were, and how awkward it could be to act like someone she was not. At the same time, she noticed the children in his words, the way he spoke about them with care and love. She felt a tug at her heart, a mixture of concern and curiosity. The children deserved happiness, even if it was just for one evening. And he was asking for a kind gesture, something that could make a difference in their lives. She asked questions, wanting to understand more. He told her about the children, their ages, their interests, and how shy they were at first but friendly once they felt safe. He explained that the gathering would be on Christmas Eve, and he would guide her through what to say and do. She would not be alone. He would be there to support her. He admitted that it was not a normal request, but he hoped she could see it as an opportunity to bring joy to a family that needed it. She thought about her own life. How quiet it had been, how predictable. A strange favor like this could be an adventure, a way to step outside her comfort zone. She felt nervous, but also a little excited. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, the honesty in his voice. He was not asking for anything selfish, not trying to take advantage. He simply wanted a helping hand during a difficult time. For a few moments, he sat in silence, each thinking about what this could mean. She pictured the children's faces, the warmth of a home filled with laughter and love. She imagined herself walking into the gathering, unsure at first, but slowly becoming part of something real, even if it started as pretend. The thought made her heart beat a little faster. a mix of fear and anticipation. Finally, she spoke, telling him she would consider it, but she needed time. He nodded, understanding completely, and thanked her for listening. They talked for a few more minutes about trivial things, about books and movies, about the simple joys of winter. Then he left, and she was alone with her thoughts and the half-finished cup of hot chocolate. As she walked home, she thought about the request again and again. Pretend to be his wife, it sounded strange, but the idea of bringing happiness to two children, of sharing a moment of joy with a family that needed it, made her heart feel lighter. She knew it would be challenging, but she also felt a spark of hope, a possibility of something unexpected entering her life. For the first time in a while, she felt a sense of anticipation, a feeling that something good could happen. Even in the middle of a cold December evening, she reached her apartment and set down her bag. She looked out the window at the twinkling lights on the street below, and a small smile appeared on her face. She did not know what the future would hold, whether she would say yes or no. But she felt a strange sense of connection to this man and his children. She felt that sometimes life asked for small acts of courage, moments when stepping into the unknown could lead to something beautiful. Over the next few days, she could not stop thinking about the request. She replayed their conversation in her mind, imagining the gathering, the children's laughter, and the warmth of a home during the holidays. She also thought about her own feelings, her fears and her excitement. She wondered if she could do it, if she had the courage to become part of someone else's life, even for a short time. The thought was both frightening and thrilling, a mixture of nerves and hope that made her feel alive. She reached a decision, knowing she wanted to at least try. She sent him a message, agreeing to help, explaining that she would do her best. When he read the message, she could sense his relief and gratitude. He thanked her repeatedly, and they began to plan how she could step into this unusual role. She felt a sense of purpose, a reason to be part of something bigger than herself, and a connection to people she had only just met. The days passed quickly. She prepared herself by learning about the children, thinking of ways to make them feel comfortable, and imagining how she could bring joy to their evening. She also thought about her own life, how this experience might change her perspective, teach her about kindness, empathy, and the unexpected ways people could enter our lives. She realized that sometimes, even a strange request, something that seemed unusual at first, could become a meaningful moment, a chance to touch lives in ways we never imagined. The week before Christmas arrived, and she felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She thought about the man and his children, and how their lives had been difficult since the loss of their mother. She wanted to make this evening special, to bring a little magic into their lives, to create memories that would be warm and comforting. She knew it would not be easy, but she felt ready to step into this challenge with an open heart and a willingness to try. On the evening of the gathering, she dressed carefully, choosing an outfit that was simple but warm, one that would help her fit in while still feeling comfortable. She rehearsed in her mind what she might say, how she could act naturally, and how she could make the children feel at ease. Her heart raced with anticipation, but she also felt a sense of calm, knowing that her intentions were genuine and that she could bring happiness to a family that needed it. She took a deep breath, reminding herself that sometimes the smallest acts of courage could lead to the most meaningful experiences. And she stepped out into the winter night, ready for the unexpected journey ahead after agreeing to help. She spent the next few days preparing for the unusual task ahead. She thought about the children constantly, wondering how they would react when they saw her. She wanted to make a good impression, to be someone they could trust and feel comfortable with. Each day she imagined the scene at the gathering, picturing the living room filled with decorations, the smell of cookies, baking, and the laughter of the children. It was strange to imagine herself in this role, pretending to be someone she was not. Yet the idea also filled her with warmth and a sense of purpose. She decided to learn more about the children before meeting them again. She asked the man questions about their favorite activities, the books they liked, and what kind of games made them laugh. He told her small details about their routines, the way one liked to draw quietly in the corner, while the other loved to run around and play. He also spoke about the sadness they still felt from losing their mother, and she could hear the pain in his voice as he tried to protect them from the harshness of the world. She listened carefully, wanting to understand them as best as she could. The more she learned, the more she felt a connection forming, not just with him but also with the children. She imagined ways to make them smile, small gestures that would make them feel loved and safe. She thought about bringing a little gift for each child, something simple but thoughtful, like a handmade card or a small toy that matched their interests. She wanted to show them that even strangers could bring kindness into their lives, even if only for a short time. She also thought about how to act naturally as the man's wife. She wanted to be gentle and kind, but not forced or artificial. She practiced conversations in her mind, imagining herself asking about the children's day, sharing stories and laughing along with them. She knew it would be difficult at first, pretending to be someone she was not, but she hoped that her sincerity would shine through. She reminded herself that her role was not about deception, but about helping a family feel complete for a few hours. As the days passed, she and the man spent more time together, planning the evening. They met at the coffee shop again, discussing the details of the gathering, the people who would be there, and how she could fit in comfortably. He explained that the children had been feeling nervous about meeting someone new, so he asked her to approach them slowly, to listen first and talk later. She agreed, wanting to respect their feelings and make them feel at ease. During these meetings, she noticed a side of him she had not seen before. He was patient and thoughtful, speaking carefully about the children's needs and his own worries. There was a quiet strength in the way he handled his life, a resilience that impressed her. She could see that he was doing his best to provide for his children, to give them stability and love despite the difficulties he faced. This made her feel a deeper respect for him, a desire to help in any way she could. She also started to feel nervous as the evening approached. She wondered if she would be able to act naturally, if the children would accept her, and if the man's relatives would notice anything unusual. She imagined herself walking into the room, the eyes of the family on her, and tried to picture herself remaining calm and confident. She reminded herself that her intention was pure and that she was there to bring joy, not to cause trouble. One afternoon, she went shopping for small gifts for the children. She chose items that she thought they would enjoy, simple things that matched the details the man had told her. She also picked out a small plant for the man, something to brighten his home and remind him that kindness and care could grow even in difficult times. As she walked home with the packages, she felt a sense of anticipation and a little nervous excitement. The evening was coming soon, and she was about to step into a role she had never imagined for herself. The day before the gathering, she spent time preparing herself mentally and emotionally. She thought about how to approach the children, how to speak kindly, and how to create a sense of comfort and trust. She practiced small gestures, like how to smile warmly and how to listen attentively. She reminded herself that her role was not just about pretending to be a wife, but about being a source of warmth and care for a family that needed it. She felt a sense of responsibility, but also a quiet joy at being able to help. That evening, she received a message from the man, confirming the time and giving a few final details about the gathering. He reminded her not to worry, that the children would be the most important focus, and that he would guide her through any difficult moments. She felt comforted by his words, knowing she was not alone in this task. She also felt a growing sense of connection to him, a subtle warmth in her heart that she did not fully understand yet. She went to bed early, trying to get enough rest for the evening ahead. She thought about the children, imagining their smiles, their laughter, and the way they might look when they felt safe and happy. She also thought about the man, the way he had asked for her help with honesty and respect, and the quiet kindness he had shown throughout their interactions. She realized that this experience was about more than just pretending. It was about forming bonds, even if they were new and unexpected. The next morning, she woke up feeling a mixture of nerves and excitement. She prepared herself carefully, choosing clothes that were simple but elegant, and taking time to look presentable without feeling uncomfortable. She thought about the gestures and words she would use, imagining herself entering the gathering with confidence and warmth. She reminded herself that the goal was not perfection but sincerity, and that her genuine care would make the evening meaningful for the children and the man. She arrived at the man's home earlier than planned, giving herself time to adjust and prepare. He greeted her at the door, smiling warmly and reassuringly. He introduced her to the children, explaining gently that she was there to spend time with them and that she cared about their happiness. The children looked at her with curiosity, some shyness, and a hint of excitement. She knelt down to greet them, speaking softly and asking gentle questions about their day and their favorite activities. At first, the children were cautious, not sure how to react. She remembered the advice he had given her, to let them take the lead and to listen before trying to talk too much. She asked about the books they liked and the games they enjoyed, letting them speak freely and showing genuine interest in their answers. Slowly, she noticed their faces light up, small smiles, appearing as they realized she was there to spend time with them, not to judge or control. The tension in the room eased, placed by a sense of warmth and curiosity. The man watched from a short distance, giving her space to interact with the children while staying nearby in case she needed support. She could see the gratitude in his eyes, a silent acknowledgement of her effort to connect with his family. She also felt a growing bond forming, not just with the children but with him as well. A subtle but undeniable connection that made her heart feel lighter. She realized that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness, even pretending to be someone you are not for a short time, could lead to real and meaningful relationships. They spent the afternoon together, preparing small decorations, playing games, and sharing stories. The children began to relax and laugh, and she felt a deep sense of satisfaction and joy. She saw the man smile more freely, a softness in his eyes that showed he appreciated her presence. For the first time in a long while, the house felt filled with warmth and happiness, a true holiday spirit that came from genuine connection and care. As the evening approached, she continued to focus on making the children feel safe and happy. She listened carefully, responded kindly, and offered gentle guidance when needed. The children began to include her in their activities, sharing secrets and small jokes. She felt a sense of belonging, even though she had just entered their lives. She also noticed a growing trust between herself and the man, a quiet understanding that they were working together to create a special experience for his family. Finally, as the sun set and the lights of the house glowed softly, she realized that the unusual favor she had agreed to was becoming something far more meaningful. It was no longer just pretending to be a wife. It was about creating moments of joy, building trust, and forming a bond with people who had been through loss and needed warmth and care. She felt proud of herself for taking the step, for embracing the challenge, and for opening her heart to this unexpected experience. By the end of the day, the children were laughing freely. The man was visibly relaxed, and she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She realized that her initial hesitation, the uncertainty and fear, had been replaced by genuine connection and happiness. She knew that the evening was only the beginning, and that the bonds she had formed could grow stronger over time. She also understood that sometimes life presented opportunities that seemed strange or uncomfortable at first, but when approached with sincerity and kindness, could lead to the most meaningful and heartwarming experiences. The day of the family gathering arrived, and the city streets were covered with a thin layer of snow that sparkled in the weak sunlight. She dressed carefully, choosing clothes that were warm but simple, ones that would help her fit in and feel comfortable. She took a deep breath as she walked to the man's house, holding the small gifts she had chosen for the children and the plant for him. Her heart raced with a mixture of nervousness and excitement. She knew this evening would be unusual and challenging. She also felt a quiet hope that it could be meaningful and even joyful. When she arrived, the man greeted her warmly at the door. He smiled softly, offering reassurance as he explained a few last details about the gathering. He reminded her to focus on the children, to be kind and gentle, and to enjoy the time together. She nodded, feeling comforted by his presence and his calm tone. The man's children peeked around the corner, curious but shy. She knelt down to greet them, speaking in a soft voice, asking them about their day and the things they liked to do. She watched as their cautious expressions slowly softened, little smiles appearing as they realized she was there to spend time with them, not to judge or demand anything from them. Inside the house, The warmth and smell of holiday baking filled the air. The room was decorated with twinkling lights and small ornaments, giving a cozy and welcoming feeling. The children led her to the living room, pointing out the decorations and showing her the small tree they had helped decorate. She laughed softly with them, asking questions and listening carefully to their answers. She could see the man watching her from a distance, a quiet gratitude in his eyes. He stayed nearby, ready to guide her if needed, but giving her space to form a connection with his children on her own. As the afternoon went on, more family members began to arrive. They were friendly but observant, and she felt the weight of their curious eyes. She reminded herself to stay calm and natural, to act with kindness and sincerity. She introduced herself to each relative politely, answering questions about her background and interests. Some of them were skeptical at first, sensing that she was new to the family, but her gentle manner and honest smile slowly eased the tension. She focused on creating a warm atmosphere, showing that she was there to share joy and care for the children. During the gathering, small complications arose. A relative asked questions that made her heart race, curious about how long she and the man had known each other and whether their relationship was serious. She responded carefully, staying truthful but vague, explaining that they had met recently and that she cared about the children and wanted to spend time with them. The children, sensing her unease, stayed close to her side, which helped her feel more confident. She realized that honesty, warmth, and patience were more powerful than trying to create a perfect story or hide her nervousness. The children began to warm up to her more with each passing hour. They showed her their favorite games, their small art projects, and the stories they had been reading. She listened attentively, asking questions and showing genuine interest. The children laughed freely now, sharing jokes and little secrets, and she felt a growing connection forming. She noticed that their trust in her was increasing, and with it, her own sense of belonging and responsibility. The man observed quietly, occasionally stepping in to guide the conversation or smooth over a misunderstanding. He seemed more relaxed than he had in weeks. The stress of the upcoming holiday eased by her presence and the way she engaged with the children. He thanked her softly, a glance and a gentle smile conveying more than words could express. She felt a sense of warmth in her chest, realizing that her small act of kindness and courage had already created a meaningful impact. As evening approached, the gathering turned to preparing a small holiday dinner. She helped the children set the table and bring out dishes, laughing along with their small mistakes and enjoying the playful chaos. The children began to call her by a nickname they created for her, a sign that they felt comfortable and happy in her presence. She felt a sense of pride and joy, realizing that the evening was not just a performance, but a real opportunity to create moments of happiness and connection. After dinner, they gathered around the tree to exchange small gifts. The children handed her carefully wrapped presents, their eyes shining with excitement and gratitude. She received their gifts with genuine appreciation, thanking them and asking thoughtful questions about each one. She then gave them the small gifts she had brought, watching as their faces lit up with delight. The man received the plant she had chosen for him, and he smiled softly, the gesture bringing a quiet warmth to the room. She felt that even these simple exchanges were creating lasting memories and a sense of connection among them. Later, as the evening grew quieter, they sat together in the living room. The children curled up on the couch with blankets, reading small stories or quietly playing with toys. She and the man shared a moment of calm, sipping warm drinks and reflecting on the day. He expressed his gratitude, thanking her for helping to make the evening special and for connecting with his children in a way that brought joy to all of them. She felt a mixture of relief and pride, realizing that her nervousness had transformed into a sense of accomplishment and belonging. Throughout the evening, small gestures of kindness and connection continued to shape the experience. She offered to help with small tasks, listened carefully to each child, and showed interest in their stories and activities. The children began to relax completely, laughing and joking, sharing their feelings without fear. She noticed that the man's stress seemed to melt away, replaced by a quiet happiness that came from seeing his family enjoying themselves. She felt a deep satisfaction in being part of something meaningful, a role that had started as a request but had become a shared experience of warmth and connection. The evening was not without its challenges. Some relatives continued to ask probing questions, curious about her presence and the nature of her relationship with the man. She responded carefully and honestly, maintaining a balance between truth and discretion. She realized that the key was sincerity, kindness, and patience, qualities that gradually won over even the most skeptical family members. By the end of the evening, the family began to accept her as part of the gathering, recognizing her genuine care for the children and the man as the night drew to a close. The children were tired but happy, cuddling close to her and sharing their thoughts about the evening. She felt a deep connection with them, a bond formed through shared laughter, play, and small acts of kindness. She also felt a growing connection with the man, quiet understanding and appreciation that had developed over the course of the day. She realized that the unusual request she had agreed to had become something far more meaningful, a chance to create memories, foster trust, and bring joy to a family that needed it. When it was time for her to leave, she hugged the children gently, feeling their small arms wrap around her. She smiled at the man, who expressed his gratitude once more. She left the house feeling a sense of warmth and fulfillment, her heart light despite the cold winter night. She understood that the evening had been more than just pretending. It had been an opportunity to form real connections, to share kindness, and to create a sense of belonging for a family who had faced loss and difficulty. As she walked home, she reflected on the day, thinking about the laughter, the small challenges, and the moments of joy. She realized that sometimes life presented unexpected opportunities, ones that seemed strange or uncomfortable at first, but when approached with sincerity and care, could become meaningful experiences. She felt a quiet hope, a sense that this evening was only the beginning, and that the bonds she had formed could grow stronger with time. She also understood that kindness, patience, and genuine interest in others could create lasting connections, even in situations that initially seemed unusual or daunting. By the time she reached her apartment, her heart was full. She looked out the window at the quiet streets, softly lit by holiday decorations, and felt a sense of anticipation for the days to come. She knew that the children and the man had welcomed her into their lives. She felt grateful for the opportunity to be part of something so meaningful. She also realized that the experience had changed her, teaching her about courage, empathy, and the power of small acts of kindness. She went to bed that night with a sense of peace and hope, ready to face whatever the next day would bring, knowing that even the most unusual requests could lead to the most beautiful experiences. The days after the family gathering were quiet, but she felt a lingering warmth from the experience. She kept thinking about the man and his children, about their laughter and the way they had accepted her into their small circle. She realized that the evening had not been just about pretending, but about forming bonds and showing care in a way that mattered. The memory of the children smiling and laughing stayed with her, filling her heart with a sense of purpose, hope that she had not felt in a long time. She and the man began to meet more frequently, not just to prepare for any further gatherings, but also to spend time together naturally. They went for walks, shared quiet conversations over coffee, and occasionally spent time with the children in small, meaningful ways. During these moments, she noticed a change in herself. She had started to feel more connected to others, more willing to open her heart, and more patient and understanding. The man also seemed different, more relaxed and happier than she had ever seen him. She could tell that the experience of the gathering had brought something important into their lives, a new layer of trust and closeness that neither of them had expected. One evening, as they sat quietly in his living room, the children asleep upstairs, he spoke softly about his feelings. He admitted that he had not expected to feel such a connection with her, and that he had been surprised by how naturally she had fit into their lives. He confessed that he did not want the experience to end, that he wanted her to continue being a part of their family, even after the holiday had passed. She listened carefully, feeling a mix of surprise and warmth. She had started to notice her own feelings too, a quiet affection that had grown from spending time with him and the children. She responded with honesty, explaining that she had enjoyed every moment with them and that she had grown attached to the children and to him. She spoke about the joy of seeing the children laugh freely, of being welcomed into their home, and of forming connections that felt real and important. They shared a long conversation, discussing their hopes, fears, and the changes that had started to occur in their hearts. She realized that their bond had grown beyond the unusual circumstances that had brought them together, forming a foundation of trust, respect, and genuine care. The children began to sense the change too. They would greet her eagerly when she arrived, sharing stories about their day and asking her to play games or help with small tasks. She spent time reading to them, helping with homework, and listening to their small worries and dreams. Each interaction deepened her connection with them, and she noticed that the man's stress seemed to lessen as the children felt more secure and happy. She realized that these simple acts of care and attention had created a ripple effect, bringing peace and warmth to the household in a way that neither of them had anticipated. One afternoon, they all went to a small park near the city. The children ran and played in the snow, laughing as they made small snowmen and threw snowballs at each other. She watched them closely, joining in the fun, and felt a sense of joy that she had not experienced in years. The man joined her after a while, smiling as he watched her interact with the children. They shared quiet words, talking about the happiness of the day and the way the children had grown comfortable and confident. She felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing that her presence had helped create these moments and that the bonds between them were becoming stronger. As the days passed, the man started to open up more about his past, his life before becoming a widower, and the struggles he had faced while raising the children alone. She listened with empathy, offering gentle words of support and understanding. He spoke about his fears, his hopes for the future, and the desire to provide stability and love for his children. She could see the vulnerability in his eyes, and she felt a deep compassion and a desire to be there for him in a way that went beyond friendship. The experience had brought them together in a unique way, and she realized that the connection they were forming was genuine and meaningful. They began to discuss the future more openly. Considering how they could continue to support each other and the children, she suggested small ways to build routines and create traditions, such as regular visits, shared meals, and activities that the children enjoyed. He listened attentively, expressing gratitude for her ideas and her willingness to be part of their lives. They both understood that this was not about rushing into a romantic relationship, but about forming a family-like bond, one built on trust, care, and mutual respect. She felt a quiet hope that their connection could grow stronger over time, becoming something lasting and meaningful. One evening, while the children were asleep, he asked her to stay a little longer. They sat together by the fireplace, talking quietly about the events of the past weeks. He spoke about the change he had noticed in the children, how they had become more confident and happy, and how her presence had made a difference. She felt a sense of pride and fulfillment, knowing that her actions had brought comfort and joy to their lives. They also spoke about their own feelings, the subtle affection that had developed between them, and the realization that what had started as a pretend role had become something real and important. They began to spend more time together outside the home, taking the children on small outings, visiting nearby parks, and attending local holiday events. Each experience deepened their connection, allowing them to share joy, laughter, and moments of quiet reflection. The children began to see her as a trusted and caring figure in their lives, and the man relied on her for support and companionship. She realized that their relationship had evolved naturally, moving beyond the unusual circumstances that had brought them together and forming a bond that was grounded in genuine care and shared experiences. As Christmas approached, the man and she began to plan a small celebration with the children, focusing on creating memories that would be meaningful and joyful. They baked cookies, decorated the house, and wrapped small gifts for each other. The children were excited and engaged, laughing as they worked together, and she felt a deep sense of satisfaction and happiness. She realized that these simple activities were creating a sense of belonging and stability. It's not just for the children, but for herself as well. She felt that she was part of something larger, a family that had formed in an unexpected and beautiful way. During this time, the man shared more about his late wife and the memories they had created together. He spoke with tenderness and respect, acknowledging the impact she had had on his life and the lives of the children. She listened carefully, understanding the depth of his love and loss. She also realized that her role was not to replace the past, but to create a new chapter, one filled with kindness, support, and shared experiences. She felt honored to be part of this process, helping to bring joy and stability to a family that had faced loss and difficulty. One quiet evening, after the children had gone to bed, they talked about the future in a more personal way. He expressed his desire for her to continue being part of their lives, not as a temporary figure, but as someone who could bring ongoing support, care, and connection. She shared her own feelings, admitting that she had grown attached to the children and to him, and that she wanted to continue being involved in their lives. They spoke about the importance of trust, patience, and gradual development, understanding that their bond had to grow naturally and with care. She felt a quiet joy and hope, realizing that the connection they were forming was genuine and could last beyond the holiday season. As the days continued, they maintained a rhythm of shared activities, conversations, and moments of quiet reflection. The children grew more confident and expressive, sharing their thoughts and feelings freely. She continued to be a source of support, listening carefully, offering guidance, and creating opportunities for joy and laughter. The man also relied on her presence, appreciating the calm and warmth she brought to their home. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, understanding that the unusual request that had started it all had blossomed into a meaningful and lasting relationship. Through these experiences, she began to understand the power of small gestures, empathy, and sincere care. She realized that sometimes the most meaningful connections could arise from unexpected circumstances, and that taking a risk to help others could lead to profound and lasting bonds. She felt grateful for the opportunity to be part of this family, to witness their growth, and to contribute to their happiness. She also recognized that the experience was changing her, helping her to be more compassionate, patient, and open-hearted. As Christmas Day approached, she felt a quiet excitement and anticipation. She knew that the holiday would be a special time for the children and for herself, a chance to celebrate the bonds they had formed and the joy they had created together. She looked forward to the day with a sense of hope and warmth, understanding that the connections she had made were real and meaningful, and that the family they had begun to form could continue to grow and flourish. She felt that what had started as a simple favor had become a turning point in her life and theirs, a reminder that kindness, care, and empathy could create miracles in the most unexpected ways. Christmas morning arrived with a quiet snow covering the city, soft and sparkling in the pale light. She woke early, feeling a mix of excitement and warmth. The children were already awake, running quietly through the house in anticipation of the gifts and the special breakfast they would share. She dressed quickly, choosing comfortable clothes that would let her move easily and participate in the morning festivities. She felt a sense of happiness that she had not felt in a long time, knowing that this holiday would be full of laughter, joy, and meaningful connection. The man greeted her with a gentle smile, expressing his gratitude for everything she had done over the past weeks. He explained that this Christmas was going to be special, not just because of the gifts or decorations, but because of the way they had all come together as a family. She felt her heart swell with warmth, realizing that the bonds they had formed were real and meaningful. The children rushed to her, pulling her along to the living room, where the small tree sparkled with lights and ornaments, each one a memory or tradition they had shared over the past weeks. They began opening gifts, the children laughing and squealing with delight as they discovered small surprises and thoughtful presents. She gave them the gifts she had carefully chosen, watching as their eyes lit up with excitement and joy. The man received the plant she had selected, and he smiled softly, placing it on a nearby table where it could be seen and nurtured. The room was filled with warmth and laughter, a sense of togetherness that was stronger than anything she had anticipated when she first agreed to pretend to be his wife. She realized that what had started as a small favor had transformed into something profound, creating memories and connections that would last far beyond the holiday season. after the gift exchange. They moved to the kitchen to prepare a simple Christmas breakfast. The children helped by setting the table and arranging small decorations, while she and the man worked together to cook pancakes and pour hot chocolate. The kitchen was filled with the smell of warm food and the sound of laughter, creating an atmosphere of comfort and joy. She felt a deep sense of belonging, knowing that she was part of a family now, even if it had started in the most unusual way. Each moment was a reminder of the power of kindness, patience, and genuine care. During breakfast, the children talked excitedly about their plans for the day, the games they wanted to play, and the small adventures they hoped to have. She listened attentively, asking questions and joining in the conversation, feeling more connected to them with each passing moment. The man watched her with quiet appreciation, noticing how naturally she had become part of their lives. He realized that her presence had brought stability, joy, and a sense of hope that he had not felt in a long time. She noticed the change in him too, the way he laughed more freely and moved through the day with less worry, and she felt a quiet satisfaction knowing that she had contributed to this happiness. After breakfast, they went outside to enjoy the snow. The children ran and played, building small snowmen and throwing snowballs, while she and the man joined in, laughing and helping them with their creations. The cold air was refreshing, and the sound of the children's laughter echoed through the quiet streets. She felt a sense of peace, knowing that these moments of joy and connection were real and lasting. The man held her hand briefly as they watched the children play, and she felt a subtle warmth in her chest, a recognition that the bond between them had deepened into something meaningful and genuine. Throughout the day, continued to share simple joys, playing games, reading stories, and enjoying small treats. The children began to see her as a trusted figure, someone who cared deeply for them and who could provide comfort and guidance. She also noticed the way the man looked at her, with a quiet admiration and appreciation, recognizing the effort and care she had put into becoming part of their lives. She realized that the unusual favor she had agreed to had grown into a relationship based on trust, empathy, and shared experiences, a connection that was now real and meaningful. As the afternoon approached, they gathered around the fireplace, the children sitting close to her, and the man, sharing small stories and memories. She listened attentively, offering gentle guidance and encouragement, helping them feel safe and understood. The man shared stories of his past and his late wife, speaking with tenderness and respect. She understood that her role was not to replace anyone from the past, but to help create a new chapter filled with kindness, care, and shared joy. She felt honored to be part of this process, helping to bring stability and happiness to a family that had faced loss and uncertainty. Later, they prepared a small Christmas dinner, working together as a family. The children helped set the table and arrange the food, while she and the man cooked and served the meal. The atmosphere was filled with laughter, warmth, and a sense of togetherness. She noticed the children relaxing completely, their faces full of joy and security. The man expressed his gratitude quietly, acknowledging the difference her presence had made in their lives. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that the bonds they had formed were genuine, and that their connection had grown beyond the initial request for her to pretend to be his wife. After dinner, they sat together, enjoying the quiet moments and reflecting on the day. The children shared their favorite parts of the holiday, and she listened with genuine interest, asking questions and offering encouragement. The man spoke softly about the change he had noticed in the children, their increased confidence, and the happiness he had seen in their faces. She felt proud and satisfied, understanding that the simple acts of kindness, patience, and care she had shown had created lasting impact. The experience had transformed their lives, bringing joy and connection where there had once been uncertainty and loss. As the evening drew to a close, she and the man shared a private conversation while the children slept. He expressed his hope that she would continue to be part of their lives, not as a temporary figure, but as someone who could bring ongoing support and care. She shared her own feelings, admitting that she had grown attached to the children and to him, and that she wanted to continue being involved in their lives. They discussed the importance of patience, trust, and gradual growth. Understanding that their bond had to evolve naturally and with care, she felt a quiet joy and hope, recognizing that the connection they had formed was genuine and had the potential to become lasting and meaningful. Over the following days, they continued to nurture their relationship, sharing small moments of joy, laughter, and care. The children grew more confident and expressive, trusting her presence and seeking comfort and guidance when needed. She became a stable figure in their lives, someone who could provide support and warmth, while the man relied on her companionship and understanding. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, recognizing that the unusual favor that had started it all had blossomed into a meaningful and lasting connection. As the holiday season came to an end, she reflected on the journey they had all taken together. What had begun as a simple request to pretend had transformed into a genuine relationship filled with care, trust, and mutual respect. She felt grateful for the opportunity to be part of this family, to witness their growth, and to contribute to their happiness. She realized that sometimes life presents unexpected opportunities, and that acts of kindness and courage can create profound and lasting bonds. On the final day, before she would return to her usual routine, they spent time together as a family, enjoying quiet activities and small traditions that they had developed over the past weeks. The children laughed, shared stories, and played, feeling secure and loved. The man expressed his gratitude, acknowledging the difference she had made in their lives and the warmth she had brought to their home. She felt a deep sense of satisfaction and joy, knowing that her presence had helped create a sense of family and belonging as she prepared to leave. The children hugged her tightly, their small arms wrapped around her in a gesture of love and trust. She smiled at the man, who expressed his hope that she would continue to be part of their lives. She realized that the bonds they had formed were strong and genuine, and that the holiday experience had created memories and connections that would last long beyond the season. She felt a quiet sense of hope and fulfillment, understanding that sometimes the most meaningful experiences arise from unexpected circumstances and simple acts of kindness. Walking home through the snow-covered streets, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here. She had agreed to a strange and unusual request, unsure of what would happen, and yet it had led to one of the most meaningful experiences of her life. She had formed connections with a family, brought joy and stability to children who needed it, and discovered a sense of purpose and belonging she had not known she was missing. She realized that sometimes miracles are not grand or dramatic, but small, quiet moments of love, care, and understanding that transform lives in ways we cannot predict. That night, she lay in bed with a sense of peace and contentment. She thought about the children, their laughter, and the moments of connection they had shared. She thought about the man, his quiet strength, and the trust and affection that had developed between them. She understood that the story of this holiday was not about pretending or following a plan, but about embracing opportunities for kindness and connection, and allowing them to grow into something real and lasting. She closed her eyes with a quiet smile, grateful for the unexpected journey, the family she had become part of, and the reminder that sometimes the most beautiful experiences come from the simplest acts of courage and love.